Look, man, the NBA player that only cared about his stats. Now, look, Hassan Whiteside, bro. I don't even remember Hassan Whiteside too long. I don't think he was in the league for too long like that, bro. I seen him a couple times with the Heat, but we
Season,
got to see what he talking
Hassan
about.
Whiteside averaged 15 points with 13 rebounds and 3 blocks a night.
Right?
With those totals, this made him the second best rebounder and the best shot blocker that season, higher than the likes of Bam Adebayo and Rudy Gobert.
Word?
Yet, those two centers made the All-Star team, and Rudy Gobert won the Defensive Player of the Year. And for Whiteside, he didn't win any awards and had to sign
He
for
played
just
for
a
the
minimum
Trailblazers.
contract that next season. So, what happened? What did coaches exactly see that the box score doesn't show? This is the story of the NBA player who only cared about stats.
And I got great teammates and just come out and just try to get a win every night. I'm just trying to really get my NBA 2K rating up.
Hassan Whiteside has always been really good at two things on paper, racking up rebounds and blocks. He really made his name known in Miami in the 2016 season when he would be flirting with triple doubles with his insane rebound and block stat line. That earned him his big contract as Miami re-signed him for 4 years and $98 million in the process. However, just a few years later, Bam Adebayo had emerged as a young and great center, which gave Miami enough confidence to unload Whiteside. So in the 2019 season, Whiteside was traded to the Portland Trail Blazers, a team that really needed a rim protector. And on paper, it seemed like the Blazers got what they needed. As stated in the intro, Whiteside was top 5 in rebounds and blocks during the 2019 season.
Right.
So, why did this all not matter? In short, Hassan Whiteside did everything he could to make the stat sheet look impressive. That often earned him the label of an empty stats player, someone whose numbers don't really reflect their actual impact on the game.
What you mean?
But I
though?
don't think that
13
tells the whole
rebounds, 3
story
blocks?
either. Whiteside was undoubtedly talented, but he didn't apply that talent in the most effective way. Rather than focusing on becoming a truly impactful defender, he primarily focused on racking up blocks and rebounds. The result then was flashy numbers, but not always winning basketball, and that's a big reason why teams didn't value him as highly as his stats might suggest. The first thing that jumps out is his motor or lack thereof, especially on the defensive
Bro,
end.
put your
He
hand
moves
up.
really slowly, even for a big man, and even worse, doesn't feel the need to.
He didn't chop it on that possession. He was like, I ain't playing no defense.
He moves really slowly, even for a big man, and even worse, doesn't feel the need to pursue other guys.
Whiteside.
This really jumps out on the fast break, where he's typically the last guy to sprint back. It relies on his teammates to try and stop them. This one's the most evident, where Dame loses the ball, and Whiteside's just standing there, so Simons has to hustle back against a 3-on-1 and comes through with an amazing chase down block. For a team like Portland, who plays Dame and CJ as their guards and Carmelo Anthony as one of their wings, they desperately needed someone like Whiteside who could clean up a lot of their mistakes on the defensive end. And on paper, it would make sense to have someone that's 7 feet tall to help protect the paint. Except with Whiteside, unless he's right in the paint, he's not active enough to get in the right position. He's often stiff and sedentary, so it's hard for him to respond to multiple actions. When offenses stretch him out, he's very reluctant to try and move away from the paint to deter those
I
shots.
see why I ain't see Buddy in the league for 2 months longer. Yeah, they was like, Buddy got
What this means then is that Portland's perimeter players are left on an island as they try to stop their matchup. And as a result, a lot of teams can get whatever they want, even when Whiteside's in the game. This is most obvious in 2 areas. The first is the pick and roll. Because Whiteside's not really mobile, he tends to be in a really deep
it's not even
drop.
about being mobile, bro. Move your feet, put a hand up. You just
When he's doing that, it forces the Blazers'
like a ghost
perimeter
out there.
players to really fight through the screen to get a decent enough contest on a shot. But once you play against really good guards like Chris Paul, who can really manipulate the pick and roll, there's too many ways to get a good shot. Now, Chris Paul dominates against most bigs, but Whiteside doesn't do anything to help his teammates in those situations. Same thing against someone like Luka Doncic. Because Whiteside's in a huge drop, Luka just needs to shed his own matchup, and all of a sudden, he has wide open 3 after 3. So to prevent that, Another guy has to come help, but that leads to an easy pass for an open shot. The problem is that Whiteside typically just reacts to what the offensive player is doing. A pick and roll is naturally hard to defend because the center needs to essentially defend two players at once. But there's things that a center can do to neutralize that advantage. The first thing a center can do is get big. By spreading your arms out wide, certain passing lanes look a lot tighter and gives the ball handler something to think about. The second thing is to jab. When a center jabs, that gives the ball handler the impression that they should pass it, but because the center is jabbing, they're really looking to get back to their man and can respond to the pass in time. But with Whiteside, instead of learning how to guard the pick and roll, he tries to tie him up when he thinks the guard is going up to block their shot. The issue with that is that he will jump a lot, which guards can use to manipulate him on drives. For example, Curry runs pick and roll and finds Tim Hardaway, who drives, and because his eyes are looking at the basket, Whiteside thinks to jump, which allows Powell to get an easy dunk. By jumping, it creates easy dump-off passes to teammates and easy lanes to the rim. This in particular has helped him develop that reputation as a block hunter instead of a defensive stopper.
I mean, yeah,
the other
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't saying nigga stat pattern, but a nigga stat pattern, bro. He was basically chasing blocks. But I mean, don't all NBA players stat
area
pattern?
that his lack of motor plays a big factor is on the defensive rebounds. Yes, he averages 13 rebounds a game because he's tall, but he doesn't do a good job finding guys to box out, so a lot of centers can sneak in for offensive rebounds. Again, a lot of this could be fixed if he did his work early. Instead of trying to predict where the ball is going, centers will do their best to clear out space to ensure that the defensive rebound is secure. Yes, this might mean they have less rebounds in the box score, but it increases the chances for their team to finish off the defensive possession. But with Whiteside, he doesn't actively move and waits for the rebound to come to him instead. What you'll notice is that he's very flat-footed because he's relying.
It's like, bro, what is you doing, nigga? Like, bro, jump, do something.
On his length and wingspan to grab the ball. So even though he's huge, he has very limited range, and it's hard to secure rebounds when opponents are challenging you if you're not good at judging the trajectory of the ball, and especially more difficult if other guys are coming in behind him. These ones are the hardest to watch. Brunson runs pick and roll with Whiteside in a deep drop, so on the shot, Whiteside's looking for the ball, but Powell runs around him for a position, but just misses the tip-in. If you noticed, these poor habits don't really hurt his individual stats, but when you look at the team stats, there's two important ones that I believe reflect very poorly based on his mindset. The first one is Portland's overall defense. Despite Whiteside's ability to block shots, the Blazers were still the fourth worst defensive team in the league that season, giving up over 114 points per 100 possessions. Yes, it's not all on Whiteside, but he's a big reason that their defense isn't any better with him because of his lack of motor and fundamentals. The second stat is Portland's defensive rebounding rate. Although Whiteside averages 13 rebounds a game, the Blazers grabbed defensive rebounds at only 75%, which was third worst in the league that season. To put that in perspective, that's worse than the Houston Rockets, who played PJ Tucker at the 5 for half of the season. Because of these team stats, it does seem like Whiteside wasn't as good as his stats had shown. And I do agree with that, but I also don't think his blocks were meaningless in that way. The reality is that Whiteside is naturally a good shot blocker. Yes, the way he got them at times can seem cherry-picked, but I do believe that most of his blocks came more naturally than manufactured.
How you gonna cherry pick?
As mentioned, Whiteside was most effective when he could stay in the paint. So when SGA drives through the defense, he can come over and block that shot. Or how about a play like this? Wright runs pick and roll, and Whiteside contains the ball, retreats back to his man, and then recognizes he has to come over again to block that shot. Or this one where Luka runs pick and roll, Whiteside contains the ball and man, so Luka goes up, and Whiteside times it perfectly to block that shot again. My general point here is that it would be disingenuous to say that Whiteside didn't have good defensive qualities, but the issue is that he didn't care enough to work on the things that don't show up in the box score. The issue with measuring defense is that defensive stats can't truly capture how good someone was on the court. Blocks and steals don't show how you got them, and more importantly, they also don't capture the majority of defensive possessions. In the NBA, 2 blocks a game is considered really good, but it doesn't show how well that guy was defending for the other 50 to 60 possessions. This is why guys like Rudy Gobert and Draymond Green are valued so highly. Their stats, even defensive stats, aren't that amazing on paper, but it's their ability to affect every defensive possession that makes them such coveted players. Green is known to guard every possession well, and for his ability to affect multiple offensive actions at once. Gobert is the same way as a 7-footer, as he by himself made the Jazz a top 10 defense, despite having terrible defenders around him. Now, could Whiteside be as effective of a defender as those two? The answer is most likely no. He is very immobile for his size and can't really move laterally, but I do believe that a lot of his mistakes would be covered up, especially if he tried a lot harder. And that's why no one wanted him after.
I'm gonna keep it all the way 100, bro. I haven't seen Whiteside gone already, but his highlights, the highlights that I just seen, they look nasty. They don't look good. I ain't gonna lie. They don't look good. Look, man, like, comment, subscribe, bro. I want me to react more videos like this, man. Let me know in the comments, and I got y'all. But I'm seeing y'all next video. Y'all already know what's going on.